payoff. A high fly ball out to left field, blasted back, insurance delivered by Ty France.
That put the Mariners up 6-2, and they would go on to win over the Royals by that final on Monday night, opening out a 3-game set in Seattle. The Royals won 3 of 4 over the Angels in Anaheim, and they go on the road. They stay on the road, I should say, out on the West Coast, and fall to the Mariners again 6-2 the final. Welcome into the Sports Ticket here on Katy Country 94, brought to you by Keeper Brothers Automotive in Beloit. They're your home team for fast and friendly auto repair. As, again, the Royals fall, we'll go ahead and recap that here real quick and then move on to some high school sports notes. Also coming up here in the show, we'll look at the NBA and NHL playoffs, a couple women's basketball notes, and some NFL notes to end the show as well. So be listening for all that here on the Sports Ticket on Katy Country 94. Once again, the Royals falling to the Mariners on Monday night 6-2 as the Mariners scored 2 in the first inning. They get a big 2-run home. They scored 2 in the second inning, I should say. They get a 2-run home run to lead things off or start things off as far as scoring was concerned from Luke Raley, and then also had an RBI from Garrett Raleigh, or actually not Garrett Raleigh. It was Cal Raleigh in the third inning, and then Raley had another RBI to make it 4-0 in the third as Brady Singer was chased after 5, giving up 4 earned runs, 9 hits, didn't strike out 6, but his ERA goes up to 2.84. He threw 108 pitches in those 5 innings as it was not a super efficient night there for Brady. He fell to 3-2 with the loss, and the manager for the Royals, Matt Quatrero, on Brady Singer.
His stuff was good. You know, the missed spots a couple times, at least the ones that I saw on the board there, middle mistakes with pretty good hitters. Looking up the home run to Raley was middle. It was a 1-1 count. You know, you got 2 strikes on Polanco, kept that inning going. So, you know, I thought his stuff looked good, but you just got to execute.
After Singer exited the game, the Royals did get some offense going in the 8th inning. A 2 RBI double from Michael Massey, scoring Vinny Pasquantino and Bobby Witt Jr. cut the lead to 4-2. But you heard the Ty France 2-run homer that put the Mariners back up 6-2, and that would be what sealed it. Their starting pitcher for the Mariners, going 7 innings, George Kirby, ended up getting the win. He allowed just 3 hits, no earned runs, struck out 6 as Kirby moved to 4-3 on the season, and a save there for Andres Munoz for the Mariners there last night. 6-2 final. The Mariners over the Royals. Seattle's now 23-19. Royals go to 25-18. Game 2 of the 3-game series between the two teams will be tonight there in Seattle. An 8:40 first pitch again as Michael Wacha. He's definitely been up and down this year. He's 2-4 with a 5.15 ERA. He'll make the start for the Royals. He'll take on Logan Gilbert of the Mariners, who's 3-1 with a 2.94 ERA so far this season. So that's a look at what's coming up here for the Royals tonight. Again, an 8:40 first pitch between the Royals and Mariners. All right, that wraps up that portion of the Sports Ticket. By the way, if you're interested in standings, the Royals are now a game and a half behind as the Guardians won last night. They're 26-16. Cleveland winning over Texas by a final of 7-0. So they get the win, and the Twins and Royals both lost. So the Guardians are 1 game ahead of the Twins and a game and a half ahead of the Royals. The Mariners moved a half a game better than the Rangers with that loss to the Guardians for Texas. Seattle's in first place by a game and a half over the Rangers in the AL West. Major League Baseball standings and more at MLB.com. All right, local sports again coming up momentarily. We'll be joined by Shauna Remus, the coach of the co-head coach of the Beloit Lady Trojans softball team, as they opened out regionals yesterday with a win. We'll talk more about that coming up momentarily. But again, the spring sports postseason action continuing Monday. Regional golf took place for the immediate area athletes in 3A, 2A, and 1A. Some of the tournaments were actually moved to today, but as far as our immediate area was concerned, in those 3 classes, everybody actually was on the course yesterday. At 3A in Norton, the top 2 teams qualifying for state. Lakin finished first. Colby was second. In all classes after the top teams make it, it's the next top 5 individuals not on a qualifying team that punched their ticket to state with an 87 and an 11th place finish. Jennings Sloan of Beloit was just off of qualifying, 1 stroke off of qualifying for state, so tough break there, but still a great season for Jennings for the Beloit Trojans there. Kevin Tanner of Lakin was the individual gold medal winner, the regional champion with a score of 74. And then in 1A at Atwood, the top 3 teams qualified for state. Greeley County, Rollins County, and Decatur Community went 1, 2, 3. And Individually, Dawson Lance of Osborne qualified with a 7th-place finish, shooting an 87 on the day. So Dawson Lance actually is our lone state qualifier from the immediate area after he finished in 7th place there on Monday in Atwood. So he'll go on to the 1A state tournament coming up next Monday and Tuesday, the 2-day affair. Rounding out area golfers in 2A at Hill City, the top 3 teams that qualified were Ellenwood, Hill City, and Hoxie in that order. Drew Hines of Ellenwood, the individual champion, with a 69. No immediate area state qualifiers. Dylan Tisello, Smith Center, took 16th with an 86 on the day. He was 2 strokes away from qualifying for the 2A state meet. If you want to see the full results from all of those tournaments and meets, you can check out NCKSSports.com. Still to come later this week, it'll be regional track and field. We've got a lot of teams to cover Thursday on Katy Country 94 and KatyCountry94.com. We'll have reports as long as the weather holds up. Right now, it looks like it will. All of our area athletes will be competing Thursday in Class 3A. Beloit's hosting their regional. In 1A, all the area teams are at Washington County, and in Class 2A, all the area teams there's 2 area teams. Smith Center and Lincoln will both be at the Hill City regional coming up on Thursday. So everything taking place Thursday. Right now, crossing fingers, because I have plans to be somewhere on Friday if I can be, and for the weekend. So I'm hoping that everything does, in fact, go as planned, and get them out Thursday, and it's an extra day of rest before you get to the state track meet coming up next Friday and Saturday, the 24th and 25th, there at Cessna Stadium in Wichita. High school baseball and softball regionals are rolling on as well. Nobody's alive in the immediate area in baseball. As far as that's concerned, I guess technically Concordia is still alive. They have not started anything yet in their regional baseball, and actually I believe the Panthers play today in the Class 4A regional. They're on the western half of the bracket, and they are indeed playing today in Pratt against Pratt, who's the number 2 seed out of the West at 22-4. Concordia is the 15 at 7-13. They'll play somewhere around 4:30ish probably today. Wellington Ulysses is the first game there in regional baseball today. There for the Concordia Panthers. For folks that are interested in the regional that Beloit and Sylvan Lucas were in Class 3A. Things pick back up today at 2:30 with Ellsworth against Southeast Saline in Marysville. Or actually, that's at Concordia. Apparently, Marysville's field is not in condition to play, so they moved those games to Concordia. So Ellsworth, Southeast Saline at Doyen Field in Concordia at 2:30, and then following that will be Nemaha Central and Marysville, and the championship will be this evening between the winners of those 2 games. So I had not seen that yet. I'm going to have to update that as far as the NCAA teams that are still alive on the website there for regional baseball. Regional softball got mixed around yesterday. Hoisington was supposed to host, and then the rain came, and things got moved to Great Bend for the 3A regional there, as the Beloit Lady Trojans opened out regional play yesterday, taking on Plainville Stockton, and Beloit picking up a win over Plainville Stockton by a score of 7-1, as they are the 3rd seed, and they will move on to the semis to face number 2 seed Hoisington Central Plains, which won 8-1 over Smoky Valley and Great Bend yesterday. And then on the top side of the bracket, the top seed Southeast Saline, 15-0 win over number 8 Russell Victoria, and the 5th seed Ellsworth, a 13-3 win over number 4 Minneapolis. That sets up semifinals today. Southeast Saline and Ellsworth at 3 o'clock. With Beloit taking on Hoisington Central Plains 25 minutes after that. Things are slated to take place in Hoisington today. More on that momentarily, but we do also want to let you know in 2-1A softball, Sylvan Lucas is hosting the regional finals, which have actually been moved to tomorrow because some of the games in the first round got rained out and moved to today. So regional finals will be in Sylvan Grove tomorrow at the Sylvan Fairgrounds there. Sylvan Lucas did lose, though, in their first round. The 6th seed Lady Mustangs losing number 3 seed TMP Marion 7-6 in Hayes on Monday. You can find a full look at regional softball, baseball brackets, all the regional assignments for the area. Visit NCKSSports.com. Again, we move back to Class 3A, where the Beloit Lady Trojans are looking to make it back to the state tournament after making it last season. They did lose some very, very good pitching off of that team, but Peyton Remus had an outstanding day yesterday on the mound and helped lead the Lady Trojans to a 7-1 win over Plainville Stockton. As Beloit again will play in the semifinals today against the 2 seeds Hoisington Central Plains. Again, that'll probably, I would say that'll be around 5-ish, depending on how long that first game between Southeast and Ellsworth takes. But again, Beloit back on the field today with the semifinals, and then should they win, they would play in the championship later this evening as well. We had a chance to catch up with the co-head coach of the Beloit Lady Trojans, Shauna Remus, and here's that interview with Shauna. Welcome back here on the Sports Ticket on Katy Country 94 as we're joined by the co-head coach of the Beloit Lady Trojans softball team, Shauna Remus. Coach, you rolled on with the regional tournament and got underway on Monday. Had to make a shift in the middle of the day as the rain was falling down, and they moved the games from Hoisington to Great Bend. So you headed there instead of Hoisington, and you picked up a win over Plainville Stockton in the first round, 7-1. Kind of looking at that opening game, what were your thoughts and how the girls performed there in the first game to keep your season alive?
Yeah, no, I thought the girls came out with a lot of energy, and we did opening announcements and introduced everybody, and then down comes the rain, and so we had a 35-minute little lull there, and as a coach you're kind of worried about what that's going to do to your team, but I actually think it kind of helped us a little bit. The rain stopped and the sun came out, and we went out there, and Peyton pitched a tremendous game, and our bats kind of came alive when we needed them to, and we were able to get a good win. Plainville's a really good team. They don't make a lot of errors, so you're going to earn everything that you get, and I thought our kids did a great job tonight. We had 15 hits on the night, so we did a few things right.
You move on today with the semifinals and just kind of looking at what you have here. You'll play Hoisington Central Plains, who's the host school here at the tournament. They picked up a win in the first round over Smoky Valley 8-1, and everything stayed true to seed except for Ellsworth beating Minneapolis there 13-3. The Southeast Saline is the number one seed here with a 15-0 win over Russell to start the tournament here. But obviously you've got a tough regional that you're part of, and it all concludes here with semifinals and finals in one day. So obviously you got to prepare yourself for Hoisington, and then if you're lucky enough to win that, then you got to get ready for another game. But obviously Hoisington Central Plains is at the front of your mind right now. What do they bring to the table, and what are you expecting from them?
They're a very sound team. I mean, we haven't played them yet this season, but we kind of stayed and watched a little bit. They've got great pitching. They're very consistent in the field, and then they have hitters, and they like to hit the long ball, and then when they need to put a bunt down, they can do that as well. But they're just very consistent, and their pitchers do a good job moving the ball, and they got some good speed. So we're just going to have to play our game. I mean, and be consistent with what we do as well, and then find ways to get runners on base, and you can when that happens, typically teams get a little bit nervous, and maybe they'll make a mistake, and we can score a few runs. But I have full confidence in our kids. We're hitting really well right now, and our pitchers are doing a great job, and field's doing pretty good as well. So it's very, very doable, but we're going to have to bring our A game for sure.
When I ask the question I'm about to ask you, I'm obviously not asking for game plan questions, but how do you prepare for a day like this when, if you do win, you have to face another different opponent? Now, obviously Southeast is the favorite there, and no matter who you would play, you know them because they're in the league as well.
Well, I think that gives us an advantage. We know Southeast. We don't know Hoisington real well. We don't know how to pitch some of their kids just because we haven't seen them. But some of these kids, we've been playing against Southeast since they were 8, 9, 10 years old, just through travel ball and different stuff. And so we know them really well. So I think that gives us an advantage, but you can flip the card on that too and say it gives them an advantage as well because they know our kids. But Hoisington to me is if we can get through that game, we'll be doing really well because we played okay against Southeast the first few times we played them, but we had way too many errors and we walked too many people, and you know what that does when you're playing a good team. So we've kind of buttoned some things up, and so I like our chances really well against them if we can get through Hoisington.
Shauna Remus, co-head coach of the Beloit Lady Trojans softball team. We certainly thank you for taking some time here. Best of luck today here in the semis and finals of the regional.
Yeah, thanks so much.
That's I got ahead of myself there at the end. It said best of luck in the semis and finals, but hey, we're you're sending good vibes out right to the Lady Trojans and Coach Remus in their semifinal matchup today. Again, Beloit taking on Hoisington Central Plains. Again, the first game of the day, Southeast Saline against Ellsworth at 3:00 there in Hoisington, I'm going to double check this bracket to make sure that hasn't changed. The plan was, just talking with AD Kyle Beisner and Shauna, that the plan was to go ahead and play these games in Hoisington. And right now the schedule has Southeast Flint against Ellsworth at 3 o'clock in the first semifinal, against Southeast with the win over Russell Victoria yesterday, and Ellsworth with the 13-3 win over Minneapolis. They'll play Southeast and Ellsworth, 3 out of the 4 teams remaining here from the North Central Activities Association. When the tournament started, there were 4 teams from the NCAA that were in this tournament, and obviously the 2 that played each other, you knew that one of them was going to get eliminated, but Hoisington Central Plains, the outlier there from the Central Kansas League, and again, 3 o'clock start time for Southeast and Ellsworth, and then 25 minutes after that game's over will be the start of the Beloit Hoisington Central Plains game. So we're looking forward to seeing how the Lady Trojans come out today. Again, the finals will happen 25 minutes after Game 2 between Beloit and Hoisington Central Plains, and we'll see if the Beloit Lady Trojans can try to get their way back to the state tournament after going last year. They've had multiple state qualifications in their program history and looking to make it back here in 2024. And it does appear that Southeast would be the favorite, but as you heard Coach Remus, they do know each other very well. If they would end up playing Southeast Saline, but Hoisington Central Plains is going to have a lot to say about that as well coming up here today. In softball regional brackets, baseball regional brackets, regional golf, and regional track and field. All the info you need about all of that is posted at ncksports.com. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, we'll tell you about the NBA, NHL playoffs, and some other notes in the sports world here on the Sports Ticket, brought to you by Keever Brothers Automotive in Beloit.
I'm Elijah at Keever Brothers Automotive in Beloit. Hot weather is here. Is the air conditioning in your vehicle nice and cold? If not, we can help. We have the training and equipment to service vehicle AC systems of all types, including the new refrigerant and late model vehicles. We offer same-day service on air conditioning with no appointment necessary. So don't sweat it out. Give us a shout. Fast, friendly service for your air conditioner can be found at Keever Brothers Automotive, just south of the courthouse in Beloit, or on the web at KeeverBrothers.com.
Trying to put the game on ice. He does. Oklahoma City has stunned this crowd. Doncic will launch it three-quarter court, and it's over. The Thunder win the battle in Dallas to tie this series at 2-2.
Huge win for the number 1 seeded Oklahoma City Thunder. They didn't want to go down 3-1 with the top seed in the Western Conference, and they had to fight to get that. And a turnaround that was an outstanding turnaround from last year into this year, and you go to the postseason, a nice first-round victory, and you're in the semifinals, and the Dallas Mavericks picked up a big win at Oklahoma City on the road in Game 2, and then they won Game 3. And Oklahoma City, with the in soccer you'd call it the neutralizer, or the that's what you'd call it, as the home court goes back to the Thunder here. With 3 games remaining possibly in the series, it's now a best of 3. Whoever can win 2 out of the next 3 will move on to the Western Conference Finals. So, again, the Thunder winning Game 4 over the Mavericks. They trailed by 11 at halftime. It was an outstanding comeback there for Oklahoma City. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander made the 2 free throws there at the end to kind of seal the deal. Said he didn't feel any pressure when he checked back into the game after a brief rest with 9.5 minutes remaining. Mavs were up by 6 points there, and he was poised and ready to go. And he took care of things down the stretch. He finished with 34 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals, scored 10 points, and dished out 4 assists in the fourth quarter, and took over the game with mid-range jumpers, and obviously, like you heard, made the couple free throws there at the end to seal the win there for Oklahoma City. They take it 100-96 over the Dallas Mavericks, and just a big win there for Oklahoma City. I think I can't remember if I picked them to win last night or not, but again, the Mavericks fall. Oklahoma City winning 100-96, and we'll get that on for you, Charlene. Appreciate it. Again, Oklahoma City winning 100-96 over Dallas in the 4th game of the Western Conference semifinals. Series tied at 2 apiece, and the Cavaliers were trying to do that as well. They're at home in Cleveland, but Boston, the number 1 seed in the East, had the best record in the NBA running away this year, and they won 109-102 over Cleveland. The Cavaliers trying to make a comeback there in the end, but Boston picking up a 7-point win. Never really felt like they're not going to win that game, really. The portions that I was watching, I didn't see the whole game, but Boston does win 109-102 to take a 3-1 series lead there in the best of 7, as Jaylen Brown had 27 points and 8 rebounds. Jason Tatum actually led the way with a 33-point, 11-rebound double-double. He also dished out 5 assists for Boston in the win, and Darius Garland had 30 for the Cavs in the losing effort. But again, it was Boston winning 109-102. Setting up now the NBA playoffs for tonight, and there are opportunities here. These are big games here this evening in the NBA playoffs. The Pacers and Knicks play at 7 o'clock on TNT at Madison Square Garden in New York, and obviously it's an important spot here for the two teams because it's a 2-2 tie in the series, and the Pacers and Knicks, boy, the Knicks looked really good. And it looked like they were going to roll to a series win if you'd have just taken the 2 games there in New York to start the series. But the Pacers bounced back, hard-fought win in Game 3, and then they blew New York out in Game 4 to tie the series at 2. You're kind of looking at this series, and I honestly, I didn't expect it to be here right now. I thought New York would win one of the games in Indianapolis. They did not, and so it's a 2-2 tie, brand new series. And again, 7 o'clock tonight on TNT between the Knicks and Pacers. Jalen Brunson has been outstanding in these playoffs for the Knicks, and I would expect him to have another big game tonight in New York back at home. I will pick the Knicks to win this. I've not been good at picking games and winners here in the NBA playoffs here so far in this postseason. It's not been great for me. But, hey, these series are pretty good, outside of Boston and Cleveland, which I think a lot of people are probably going to pick Boston to go to wrap that up in Game 5 in Boston. But these other 3 series, man, potential to be outstanding and all with potential to go 7 games the way things are looking right now. In the Western Conference, the Timberwolves and Nuggets, nobody wants to win at home so far, as the Timberwolves went on the road and won the first 2 games. We talked about this yesterday, and it's like, okay, well, you got 2 on the road, now you just go home. If you get 1 of these at home, you're sitting in very, very good shape. If you get 2 of them, then that'd be a sweep, obviously, and things would be over. But Denver responded with a win in Game 3, and then they won Game 4 in Minnesota as well. So, again, that's the exact opposite of what happened to the Eastern Conference, where the home teams are winning every game. Here in the West, in this semifinal series, the road team is winning every game, and it's back in Denver tonight, 9:30 start time on TNT. So, trends would say that the Timberwolves are going to win tonight in Denver at Ball Arena, but if I was going to pick tonight, I'd say the Nuggets get it done, and the Timberwolves wasted an incredible opportunity by going up 2-0 and winning both games on the road and not being able to pick up a win at home. They may not win a game at home in this series, and in fact, I'm going to predict that. I'm going to predict that the Nuggets win tonight, and then they go in and win in Game 6 as well in Minnesota. I don't know why I'm picking the Nuggets to win 4 straight games there. It's just a feeling that I've got, that gut feeling of, man, you had this team on the ropes. They're defending champions. You had them down 2-0 and going back to your home arena, and you couldn't win a game there in 3 or 4. And, man, those are for a young team that's up and coming and trying to make their move, right, and put themselves in the upper echelon here, which they've done with what they've done on the court. Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, and the group is outstanding, right? They've done the work, and Rudy Gobert and all those guys putting themselves in a great position here this year. But it's just, my gut feeling is that they're going to lose the next 2 because, man, it was right there for the taking against the defending champions, and you weren't able to do it at home. And it's tied at 2 in the series, and now you're going back to Denver, and I don't feel like the Nuggets are going to lose 3 straight at home in this series. I think the better opportunity would be for the Timberwolves to win Game 6 at home and finally get their home win and force a Game 7, all bets are off type of situation there in Denver. But, man, that's a tough break for your Timberwolves, man. I'll tell you that right now. Man, I'd be sick to my stomach for sure if I was a Minnesota fan, or, if that happened to my team, which is the Spurs or something. I've seen it actually happen. Not necessarily the 2 games on the road win, but I've seen a team win 2 games and look dominant and then bomb the next 4 and end up losing in 6. So, and interesting enough, that was Oklahoma City Thunder that was against it. We were talking about Thunder earlier. So, Again, the Timberwolves and Nuggets tonight at 9:30. The winner will take a lead in that series. Both of these, the word is pivotal, and these are not must-win games, but they can go a long way in determining who's going to win the series if you can pick up those victories. Again, Denver and Minnesota tonight at 9:30. The Knicks and Pacers at 7 o'clock. Both games are on TNT here this evening.
This might be one of those, hey, just flush it, right? Empty net. And the goal. Steele gets the goal. I wondered if he thought about giving it back to Wyatt Johnston for the hat trick. And they just had a conversation on the ice. Could have gotten a hat trick in a playoff game hours before he turns 21.
Yeah, the hat trick didn't happen, but the Stars roll to a 5-1 win over the Avalanche on Monday night to take a lead in that series as the Stars lead it 3-1. That game was in Denver, so a nice win there, and they'll go back to Dallas coming up on Wednesday for Game 5, and the Stars will have a chance to wrap it up. Also in the Eastern Conference, the Hurricanes a 4-1 win over the Rangers, so the Hurricanes keep their season alive. The Rangers had a chance to win that one at home and finish the series. They were up 1-0 after the second period, and then the Hurricanes go on for 4 goals in the third period to avoid elimination as they will move on to play, I guess that's Thursday. Yeah, they'll go back to Carolina and play on Thursday. The Rangers still lead the series 3-2 in the NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs. Also, coming up tonight, the Panthers have a chance to wrap up their series in the East as they take on the Bruins there in Sunrise, Florida. The Bruins and Panthers, Florida has a 3-1 series lead, East semifinals, Game 5 tonight. That's at 6 o'clock on ESPN, and following that at 8:30 on ESPN, the Canucks and Oilers will play in Game 4. Vancouver leading that series 2-1 as Edmonton looks to even that one out in Edmonton tonight in the NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs. I don't have a lot of insight on NHL hockey because I don't watch it a lot. Yeah, I keep up with it and know what's going on here for the Sportscast and the Sports Ticket, but to be honest with you, it's not something that's overly at the top of my list to be focusing on and watching when there's also NBA playoffs and the Royals are off to a very good start. That takes most of my viewing time as far as sports are concerned at this time of the year, and actually most of my actual most of my work time and most of my other time is being taken by local sports with spring sports postseason going on. We've had a lot of coaching changes and such in the area, and just haven't had a lot of time to even watch a lot of the NBA playoffs. They're on my TV, and I catch them here and there and be able to watch, but been a busier spring than I might have anticipated, actually. So, hey, that's not a bad thing, though, right? Again, NHL tonight, Bruins at Panthers at 6 o'clock, Canucks at Oilers at 8:30. You can find more about the NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs at NHL.com. All right, we move on. We're going to wrap the Sports Ticket with some NFL notes and talk a little bit there. But there is some interesting notes in women's basketball. We don't talk a lot about women's basketball, but I would say we talk more about women's basketball since the Caitlin Clark uprising for Iowa and everything that they did during the postseason. And Caitlin Clark obviously has brought a lot of new fans to women's basketball and brought a lot of new fans to the Iowa Hawkeyes and to now the WNBA with the Indiana Fever more than likely. We've talked about it ad nauseum on this show, the impact that Caitlin Clark has had on college basketball and women's basketball as a whole, and now going into the WNBA. So we know that impact was huge, and that impact was huge in Iowa City as well, as she is a Des Moines native and decided to stay at home in Iowa to play for Lisa Bluter in the Iowa Hawkeye program. And Caitlin Clark, again, after leading the Hawkeyes to the national championship, coming up just short the last 2 years against LSU and South Carolina, has, again, moved on. She was the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft. People are very interested in seeing her play with the Fever here this spring and summer. And her former coach at Iowa is now stepping down and retiring from coaching. Lisa Bluter, the women's basketball coach for the University of Iowa, announced on Monday that she's retiring after 24 seasons at the helm and 40 seasons coaching overall. She's the winningest women's basketball coach in Big Ten history. Bluter's teams made the national championship game again the past 2 seasons, led by the all-time leading NCAA Division I scorer Caitlin Clark. Bluter finishes her career with an overall record of 884 and 396, including a 528 and 254 record with the Hawkeyes, 18 NCAA tournament appearances for Lisa Bluter. It's kind of interesting to just see the success that she had. And there's a lot of great coaches in women's sports and women's basketball in particular that maybe don't get the credit that they deserved. And I'll be completely honest with you, I don't think Lisa Bluder would have gotten the credit that she deserved for a 40-year coaching career with 24 at the University of Iowa had Caitlin Clark not showed up and come on to the national stage and put Iowa out there as something that was something everybody wanted to see, like the must-see ticket in women's basketball. And Lisa Bluder put in a lot of work and a lot of years, and I'll be completely honest with you, I didn't know who Lisa Bluder was until Iowa came to Manhattan last year in the 2022-23 season and played at Bramlage Coliseum when K-State actually beat Iowa without Aoka Lee. Caitlin Clark was playing for Iowa that night. I'll never forget being in attendance that night. Sarah Shimatsi went off, and that's a name probably people don't even remember for K-State. But I found out who Lisa Bluder was that night. They had a big deal with Ava Jones, who had been in the accident, and the Nickerson, Kansas native, who was a commitment to Iowa and going through her senior year of high school, and she's now in Iowa City. So it was kind of like you kind of started to learn a little bit more about Iowa, and obviously the Caitlin Clark of it all that got mixed into that. So yeah, it's interesting to see a coach for 40 years, and we didn't really know about her I didn't know about her for like 38 years, for 22 years while she was at Iowa. And, of course, I'm 40, so I wouldn't have known her when I was 1. But anyway, Bluder was named Naismith Coach of the Year in 2019, a 3-time Big Ten Coach of the Year in 2001, 2008, and 2010, 4-time Regional Coach of the Year, and has just an outstanding resume. And she began her career coaching at St. Ambrose University for 6 seasons in 1985, a 10-year coaching stint at Drake, and they won the Missouri Valley Championship in 4 of those seasons in the tournament and 3 seasons in the regular season conference, and again ended up at Iowa, guiding Iowa to 22 postseason appearances, including 18 NCAA tournaments. And she 24 years with Iowa and had a lot of success. Jan Jensen, who has been the assistant for the last 20 years as the associate head coach, but she's been on Bluder's staff all 24 seasons. She's going into her 25th year of coaching, and she will now be the new head coach for the Iowa Hawkeye women's basketball team. That's another example of the impact that Caitlin Clark has had on women's basketball, as I told you a lot about her coach, Lisa Bluder, who is now retired as a coach after 40 years coaching women's basketball. I would say she earned the right to retire and continue on with her life and be able to enjoy it and enjoy the retirement. Lisa Bluder from Iowa retiring. You can read more at HawkeyeSports.com. Also in women's basketball, Golden State has a WNBA expansion team, and Tuesday morning they announced this morning the new brand identity, the Golden State Valkyries. And they say the name, which originates from Norse mythology, refers to a host of warrior women who are fearless and unwavering, flying through air and sea alike. Team release said this brand is Golden State's modern interpretation of Valkyrie, strong, bold, and fierce. Primary color is Valkyrie Violet, so it'll look a little bit different. Some of these teams have similar colors to their NBA counterparts, which the Valkyries would be the Warriors, right? But this one is Valkyrie Violet, which signifies power, ambition, nobility, women's empowerment, much like purple has been used symbolically in modern history. So Valkyrie's president, Jess Smith, told ESPN, "It feels like we've arrived. As much as I love saying WNBA Golden State, there was a placeholder, and this is who we are. To be able to put that stake in the ground, begin building the brand equity, and begin bringing our community together around this, it's really a special moment." I don't know if this is the official logo, but you can see it on Twitter at WNBA Golden State. The Golden State Valkyries will be the expansion team in the WNBA. I'm watching videos yesterday, too, and we talked about this with the growth of the WNBA, that they're finally, after years, beginning to charter flights. We talked about this again last week, but the WNBA has started to implement its regular season chartering program for the beginning of the 2024 campaign. The Indiana Fever and Minnesota Lynx flew private for their opening games at Connecticut and Seattle, respectively. So, again, they're off and they're flying. And the WNBA starts today. The Indiana Fever will take on the Connecticut Sun tonight at 6:30. Liberty against the Mystics at 6 o'clock. The Mercury against the defending champion. And the Las Vegas Aces has been they've had a stranglehold on the WNBA. The Mercury are playing the Aces tonight at 9 o'clock. It's actually on ESPN2. You can catch Caitlin Clark's regular season debut in Connecticut on ESPN2 at 6:30 tonight as well. So if you're interested in that. The Las Vegas Aces got to be like, hey, we're still here, by the way, with all the Caitlin Clark talk. Man, Becky Hammond has had an outstanding start to her career, and the Aces have been just almost unbeatable when you get to the postseason over the last couple seasons. So Las Vegas got to be like, okay, we get it that Caitlin Clark is in this league, but we are still reigning supreme here. Somebody's going to have to knock us off our perch. They're a 15.5-point favorite to start the season against the Mercury. So that's a team that, again, they're loaded, they're stacked. Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum. I mean, if you watch women's basketball, you know the names. It'll be interesting to see. I saw a video, though, of it's wild to me. There was a video in the cabin of the chartered plane for the Indiana Fever, and everybody's just going wild and crazy and so happy that they have a chartered plane. And it's like, this is wild to me that it's taken this long to get professional sports league a chartered flight to go to their games. The travel plans are still unclear for some teams. The WNBA, WNPBA, BPA, or the Women's National Basketball Players Association, I'm guessing what that stands for. Executive Director Terry Jackson said, it's a good problem to have because we got here and we're talking about charter travel. Now in this moment, the league has found its pathway to yes. It just seems that the pathway has a few more bumps than perhaps were needed. The league officially announced again Thursday that a full charter program would be phased in beginning with the start of this 2024 regular season. So charter flights to go out to your games, a novel concept for a professional sports league. It makes me think of Major League when they're bringing in that clunker of a plane to take the Indians around as the Rachel Phelps, the owner's trying to just not have any amenities for the team so they can just get mad and want to lose all their games. That's what makes me think of when I think that there were no charter flights in the WNBA until right now. The WNBA season again starting tonight. The Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark, making her debut in Connecticut at 6:30. So if you're interested in watching that, it is coming up. All right, we're going to wrap the sports ticket with some NFL notes as the Chiefs, we told you yesterday they're going to open out their season with a Thursday night game on September 5th against the Baltimore Ravens. There also has been a new announcement with Week 2 for the Chiefs. It's like, this is always funny to me because like you're doing a schedule release and that's coming up on, well, tomorrow night. I believe it's 7 o'clock on NFL Network that'll be released. But you just can't wait to release some of these games. People just can't hold their breath and wait a little bit to find out who the Chiefs are playing. Again, they're going to open the season on September 5th, Thursday night game against the Baltimore Ravens, a rematch of the AFC Championship game from this past season, and that'll be on NBC. Home opener there. Stage is set, is what the Chiefs' Twitter page says, and they'll be back on the. It's funny because the day before they had counting down the Sundays until we're back in our house. Well, you're back in your house on a Thursday to start the season, and as we mentioned, the Eagles-Packers on a Friday night at Sao Paulo, Brazil. Everybody's real excited about a Friday night NFL game when high school football is going to be going on, and I'm not going to go into that again because I touched upon that yesterday, but the Chiefs also now have announced who their Week 2 opponent will be. It's going to be an interesting start to the season for the Chiefs. You've got the Ravens, who were the AFC runner-up last year, and then Week 2 is a national TV game on CBS September 15th. It's actually on a Sunday afternoon against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Chiefs and Bengals will play in Week 2. That just came out this morning as the Bengals and Chiefs have had a bit of I'm going to say fabricated rivalry because, you know, the Bengals had a lot of chatter, right? Burrowhead and, you know, talking about how Joe Burrow was 3-0 to start his career against Patrick Mahomes. And I don't know if they can look at their fingers and see how many rings they have to account and show for it in their entire history, not just recent history, but in their entire history for anybody that's ever played with the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, they have as many Super Bowl rings on their hand as I do on mine. That is 0. Jamar Chase seems to be one that likes to talk a lot about the Chiefs, and I don't know how average maybe they are. I can look at Patrick Mahomes' hand and see that he's got 3 Super Bowl rings, despite being 1-3 against Joe Burrow in the NFL. Maybe 2-3 now. I don't know. Don't care. He's 3-0 when it comes to Super Bowl rings. 3-0. The Bengals have kind of fabricated that rivalry, so much so that when we were reading those, I'm not saying the Chiefs don't have a bit of a rivalry and they want to win those games, right? Because they have lost to the Bengals probably more than any other team that you can think of in the AFC in critical points and stretches. The only one you can really think of, though, is the AFC Championship, which would have been, it's hard to remember, the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl so many times. That would have been the 2021 season, 2022 playoffs, where they lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship. Had the lead, things fell apart in the second half, and lost in overtime. One of the few times that Patrick Mahomes has faltered in his career. But the Bengals lost the Super Bowl to the Rams, so they didn't get the ring. They got an AFC Championship ring. Congratulations. But anyway, this thing has been blown up out of proportion by national people so much that when we read the thing the other day that talked about the biggest rivalries in the NFL going into the 2024 season, and the Bengals and Chiefs were on that list, and it's like, no. I mean, they've had some tight games, close games, some impactful games, but man, I think you need to look up the definition of rivalry, because I think the only person that vocally is real big on maybe hating is Jamar Chase for the Bengals hating the Chiefs. So it's always weird to me that that's a big thing. But these are big games to start the season, though. There's no doubt about that. It's a very interesting start, taking on 2 NFC North teams at home to start the year again with the Ravens on September 5th, Thursday Night Football, rematch the AFC Championship from this year. And then a rematch from the AFC Championship from 2 years ago between the Bengals and Chiefs. That game will be again, they did beat the Bengals to clinch their spot as the 3rd seed in the playoffs last year. I do remember that now that I'm thinking about it. They did get that win there, so 2-3. Patrick Mahomes against Joe Burrow, I believe. I don't think Joe Burrow played in that game, actually, so it's still 1-3, I think. But anyway, Chiefs-Bengals week 2, that's a big game, and you hope that at that point early in the season that everybody's healthy and ready to go, and it would be everybody with all hands on deck going into that game. Week 2, Chiefs and Bengals, September 15th in Kansas City. It's a national TV 325 kickoff at Arrowhead Stadium. Also, another game that has been announced, we talked about the Thursday night football game and then Friday night football in week 1. We do know that Monday night football, the NFC champion 49ers will be opening the season against Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets, as his comeback season will open in prime time for Aaron Rodgers. September 9th, Monday Night Football, announced this morning. Again, it'll be the second straight season that Rodgers and the Jets will play a primetime game in Week 1. They debuted on September 11th last year with the Achilles injury that he suffered 4 snaps in and missing the remainder of the season. Rodgers and Brock Purdy will meet there on a Monday Night Football game in Week 1. You see all these things and everything goes around and it's everywhere, and I know that I saw what the Sunday Night Football matchup is going to be in Week 1, but you think I tagged that or bookmarked it to remember who the Sunday night game was? I did not. I'm going to see if I can find that real quick. Yeah, we don't have that. Let's try one more thing. Sunday Night Football potential schedule, flex. No, I don't have that. Sunday Night Football to be announced. Fox's game of the week is Dallas at Cleveland, it looks like. I know somewhere I saw the Sunday Night Football, but now, as of 2 hours ago, people were saying it's still to be announced. So I saw it somewhere. I don't know what it was. Oh, Rams at Detroit, it looks like. on Sunday Night Football Week 1. So that's a look at the schedule. Again, schedule release is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on NFL Network. They'll tell you every game, where everybody's playing. The Chiefs know like who their opponents are and where those games are going to be. They just don't know what time they'll be and what date they'll be and all that. I can't tell you that they do know all of that information, though, as far as who they're playing. Their home opponents this year will be the Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, Ravens, Bengals, Texans, Saints, and Buccaneers. Their road opponents are the Broncos, Chargers, Raiders. Obviously, you play everybody in your division twice, and then the Falcons, Bills, Panthers, Browns, Steelers, and 49ers are their road opponents this year, so we'll have a Super Bowl rematch at some point as well for the Chiefs. I believe one of those games is going to be overseas, maybe. Is it this year, or is it next year? It sounds like I had seen that Chiefs-Panthers game possibly could be in Germany this year. So we'll wait and see what it all comes out on that. That's not been released yet by the NFL. Again, full schedule release coming up tomorrow on NFL Network. One of the Chiefs wide receivers from a year ago has found a new home. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, wide receiver last year for the Chiefs, has signed a one-year deal with the Buffalo Bills. That's been announced by the Bills and the NFL. So MVS, who provided some clutch performances in the playoffs, had a big catch in the AFC Championship game, and obviously did some good things there down the stretch in the postseason after kind of being maligned during the season because he wasn't catching some passes and dropping some passes and all that. But again, Marquez Valdez-Scantling made some huge catches for the Chiefs in the postseason. It was pretty obvious when the Chiefs did not pick up his option for this coming year that he would not be a member of the Kansas City Chiefs this coming season in 2024. He is headed to the Buffalo Bills, to one of the Chiefs' quote-unquote rivals by that list that we would have seen. They've had a lot of great games in the playoffs here recently as well. And in the regular season, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, a $4.5 million deal, including a $1.125 million signing bonus per source on a one-year deal with the Buffalo Bills, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. So the Chiefs, we knew that he was not going to be part of the team, and that's where it goes, right? Things change. Rollover happens. Things change. Hollywood Brown will be a member of the Chiefs. You go with what you got, and you move forward. The Chiefs have signed sixth-round corner Kamal Hadden to a $4.158 million deal. The sixth-round corner has been signed. That's something that came out in the news today for the Chiefs as well. Again, you can't have every single person being the same every single year that you're trying to win a Super Bowl. There's going to be different role players each season, and Hollywood Brown, as I mentioned, would be at the top of that list as far as the offense is concerned. And we'll see guys that might be on that defense that were drafted. Hadden, possibly, some guys that were picked up. Obviously, they're looking for big things from Xavier Worthy at wide receiver. From Texas as well on offense, and things change. And still don't know what the whole situation is yet with Rashee Rice. And, man, that's just a whole bag that I'm not going to talk about today on the Sports Ticket, that's for sure. So, again, the Chiefs opening the season with the Ravens on Thursday, September 5th. We know that Week 2 will be the Bengals on Sunday, September 15th. Full schedule release for the NFL is tomorrow. All right, big thanks to everybody for tuning into the Sports Ticket today. We hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you again on Wednesday here on Katy Country 94 and Waterside Waco.
State, regional, and national sports talk on your schedule. The Sports Ticket Podcast. Subscribe via Apple, Google, and TuneIn Podcasts or sunflowerstateradio.com.